Welcome to my home. On this DVD series, I'm going to introduce you to a number of exercises that date back to the time of the formation of original Tai Chi Chuan at Wudang Mountain some 700 years ago. The first sequence is called the Zhan Zhuang exercises, which consist of 8 postures. Now it's important that we understand this in its details. The first thing I want to begin with is the structure of your base support, the legs, and everything from the waist down, because that will remain consistent through all 8 of the Zhan Zhuang postures. We begin with the base support, a large or wider one shoulder width base of the feet. In other words, a natural posture, you'd just be standing with your feet under your shoulders. In this particular posture, what I mean by a wide base is that the insides of the feet line up with the outsides of your shoulder. The next thing is the bend of the knees. In a straight standing posture, your knees are as straight as they can be without locking at the knees. In the Tai Chi bent knee postures, we bend our knees far enough that the knees cover the big toes, and of course outward pressure on those knees. Therefore, in the Zhan Zhuang exercises, we want a bent knee posture halfway between those two extremes with outward pressure on the knees. The next component is the tucking of the pelvis. Our pelvis needs to be thrust forward, so we move our center of gravity directly over the base support of the feet. For those people who have a sway back, as I do, I have to make an extra effort to make sure that my pelvis stays tucked under to erase the sway or curvature of the spine. And the third component is that I move my shoulders in this line forward as though I appear to be leaning slightly, which actually means my line of gravity over the center of my feet. From a side position, I would have my feet at the wide base. My knees would be bent halfway with outward pressure. My pelvis would be tucked. And here you notice that my line of gravity is over my heels. And you could almost fall backwards if you weren't paying attention. I need to move the center line from the shoulder through the line of gravity over the base support of my feet. And now I have correct posture. In many exercises of this type, instructors will fail to point that detail. So you'll have the bend, the outward pressure, the tucked pelvis, and the weight will remain in the back. You need to bring your weight to the center line so that line of gravity is over the base support of the feet. A very important detail often omitted. Returning to the base support. A wide base support inside of the feet with the outside of the shoulders. The bending of the knees halfway, outward pressure, tucked pelvis, and an incline of bringing the body forward over the center line. This then gives you the proper base support from the center of gravity, 3 inches below your navel and in the center of your pelvis, and you have a dropping of the weight into the yoke created by that base support. This creates what typically in the Tai Chi 3-circle posture is called circle number 1. From the root base of this foot, coming through the foot and through the dantian and into the other foot, you see this creation of circle number 1. I actually have a pulling in of the foot from the right, a pulling in of the foot from the left, to literally create a grabbing of the earth in a relaxed manner. Circle number 1. Now, circle number 2 is created with our arms. And I want you to understand that circle, and I'm going to use one of the postures from the Zhan Zhuang exercises to diagram that. From my correct base posture, my arms would raise up into one of the postures. And here, my arms are off my body. I'm lifting at the shoulders to create an expansion, as though I had a fist in here and I was expanding from the armpit. My arms go around as though I was holding a big beach ball in the configuration of the arms. Notice they're not stiff, they're not down, they're not out. They curve around this big beach ball. This curvature and lifting from the armpit creates circle number 2. And without a lot of imagination, we can see from the index fingers to the thumb the creation of circle number 3. When we put this together, no matter what position our hands are going to be in, from one of the postures to our hands expanded, to the lift, to the down posture, we're going to see circle 1, circle 2, and circle number 3. And this gives you an idea of the 3-circle posture that we need and the proper base support present in all of the 8 exercises that we're going to be demonstrating, or the 8 postures that we're going to be demonstrating on this DVD. We'll see you in a minute as we go into our proper breathing exercise. The next aspect that we have to add to our Zhan Zhuang exercises is the breathing. Now that's a critical element. So we're sort of going through this as though we're peeling the layers of an onion so that we're getting our entire picture one piece at a time, or one layer at a time. The breathing is an exercise in which we inhale through our nose. Now, as I've pointed out, inhaling through our nose affords us 3 important physiological factors. 1, the nose hairs actually are our filter. So when we inhale through our nose, we're filtering minute particles out of the air that might be harmful to our lung system. In addition, as we breathe through our nose, we moisten the air that we're taking in so that the tissues within our lungs remain moist and can function at their maximum efficiency. Breathing a very dry air for a prolonged period begins to dry the internal alveoli, the little pockets of our lungs, and makes them less efficient in the exchange of gases. And thirdly, and little known, is when you inhale through your nose, you actually are manufacturing or adding to the air that we're breathing in nitrous oxide, better known as laughing gas. And that's why sometimes after some breathing and exercises, you have a little state of euphoria. You've actually been manufacturing laughing gas or nitrous oxide, which has a healthy component to our overall attitude and well-being. The exercise sequence then, as I've mentioned, is an inhalation through the nose. And my profile will help aid in what muscles that I want you to use. The diaphragm separates the thoracic cavity from the abdominal cavity. And when you extend the abdomen, the diaphragm is dropping down, creating the vacuum in our thoracic cavity, allowing the pressure of the air, and at atmospheric pressure, that pressure is about 14.7 pounds per square inch. When you create the vacuum by expanding the thoracic cavity, the air rushes in passively. That's why there's very little effort to our breathing. And then when we naturally collapse our muscles, which is their normal tonus state, the air is forced out. Now, in order to make this a relaxing breathing exercise, we want to get rid of a large volume of air easily. And the easiest way to do that is through our mouth, in which it is a wider opening and allows the ease of allowing that air to be exhaled. 2 important components are added to this breathing cycle. After we've expanded our abdomen and lowered the diaphragm, as well as expanding the chest through the serratus anterior muscles, we get maximum volume. We want to hold that for a 3-second count. This allows for maximum gas exchange, oxygen to enter into our blood system and carbon dioxide to escape into the lungs and to be exhaled. At the bottom of the exhalation, we also want to have a relaxation period for those muscles. So at the end of the exhalation, we will have a 3-second pause before beginning the inhalation. And that is typically the cycle of breathing used throughout these postures. Our goal is to minimize the number of breaths per minute that we have to take. So we want a long inhalation, the 3-second hold, a long exhalation, a 3-second hold, and to repeat. Further, we want our mind to focus on that breathing cycle. We're not worrying about whether we left the stove on, or we have to feed the dog, or I have to go for groceries later in the day. This is your time to remove some stress from your life, to normalize the adrenal system, and to relax. And this relaxation can be accomplished quite easily without many, many years of study. In fact, you can obtain the alpha brainwave state within 3 cycles of the breath, if your focus remains on the breath alone. We'll talk later about the relaxation response in another clip. Right now, let's just focus on the correct mechanics of the breathing cycle. I can take my base posture, drop my weight, expand my knees, center my gravity, tuck my pelvis, and have my lean. And just with the arms relaxed, we're going to close our eyes and we're going to do a breathing cycle. We're going to inhale through the nose. And there's 2 examples of 2 breathing cycles complete. The maximum lowering of the abdomen, the expansion of the thoracic cavity, the allowing of the air to come in through the nose, the holding of the breath at the top of the cycle, 1, 2, and 3. Then the relaxation of the chest and the contraction of the abdominal muscles, as though you're trying to show somebody just how small you can make your tummy. And you just let that occur naturally. At the maximum exhalation point for you, there is a 1, 2, 3 hold, and then we begin the cycle again. It is that cyclic breathing that we are going to use throughout all 8 of the postures, and in fact we use when we are performing the Tai Chi solo form itself. You want to try to maximize the length of time so that you have the longest possible inhalation and the longest possible exhalation, slowing your breathing cycle to as few cycles per minute as possible. And you will achieve not only the alpha brainwave healing state, but the state of mind necessary to begin to feel your body and come to understand what we mean by the internal system. This is a very exciting DVD to be producing, because in doing the exercise series that's on this DVD, we're introducing components that are often never introduced into the Tai Chi Chuan solo practice. And this component of the Zhan Zhuang exercises is integral to understanding the feelings, the emotions, the posture, and the breathing that parallel the performance of the solo exercise. In fact, it is only when the breathing exercises and the structure of the postures as they relate to the solo form are linked ultimately, do you actually derive the health benefits purported in all of the posters that state all the benefits that can be gained through the practice of Tai Chi Chuan. Tai Chi Chuan, as a movement of just waving the arms and the legs, gain you nothing. Tai Chi Chuan performed structurally correct with the correct physiological expressions will then gain you the benefits that you desire. Posture number 1 that we're going to introduce at this time is called Wu Wei, or the grand terminus. And the posture begins by assuming the base support that we've discussed earlier. The wide base, the bent knees, the outward pressure, the tucked pelvis, the lean of center of gravity over a line of base support, the erect spine, and now our arms are going to be hanging at the sides, but not as relaxed as might first be introduced by some instructors. The movement really is a deltoid lift of the arm upward and an expansion of the armpit space. So you're lifting the arm away from the body, as though I had a fist in this space. And as I do so, notice that the fingertips then point towards the ground or towards the earth. This dual expansion, this bilateral expansion, then will continue to give me that second circle that we talked about in a much larger, going through the earth and coming back through the fingers, but this energy flow down into the earth. So we want this movement of the arms away and up, the curvature of the arms and the fingers into the earth. In fact, as you drop the pelvis weight into that yoke, the fingertips are spearing into the ground. And so this is the movement that we want to feel. Again, if I give you this from a side posture, we have the wide stance, the bent knees, the outward pressure, the tucked pelvis, the forward lean, and notice nose over toes. And then the expansion of the arms with the fingertips and the weight dropped into the earth. And here we begin the breathing cycle. The breathing cycle that we mentioned in clip number 2 in this video series of in through the nose, the 3-second pause, the exhalation, the 3-second pause, and restart the cycle. Initially, your whole focus in the Wu Wei posture, the expansion, the dropping of the fingertips into the earth with the sinking, the closing of the eyes, and the breathing cycle. And I'll go through a series with you. And just in those 3 breaths, I begin to get relaxed myself. You'll begin to notice some physiological phenomena. For example, you might notice that as you inhale, the arms feel like they're expanding from the center. The circle is growing. And this is because as the chest expands, so too the muscles expand the arms away from the body. And as you exhale, you'll notice perhaps that the arms seem to fall. So we begin to feel this expansion and contraction, the expansion and contraction. And the arm movement helps to aid in the feeling of the huge expansion of the breath in and out. And that's one component you might begin to feel. The other component that you may feel is the fact that within this envelope of the sphere, this outer circle created by the hands around the earth and coming into your fingertips and moving down into the ground, this huge circle created in this manner is enveloping your body. And you can sometimes feel the body contained in the inner circle. So the one circle of the entire body inside the sphere created by the hand movements. You may also feel some movement in which you seem to be falling forward and you have to catch yourself, and you're leaning back and you have to catch yourself, almost like you're struggling with your eyes shut to learn about balance and position. All of these factors you can experience and many more. This is a personal journey. So if I were you, I would get a journal. And after every exercise, or every couple of exercises, I'd begin to record in your own words things that you feel on a personal level. They don't have to be discussed with others, but it's how you begin to feel. And that's what we're looking with in the internal methods. This inner emotions that you experience. We'll be back with our next posture. Our next posture is a focus on the Dantian, or what we can refer to as the Sea of Qi. And in fact, posture number 2 is named that, the Sea of Qi. We assume our basic stance posture. Bent knees, outward pressure, tucked pelvis, forward lean, nose over toes. And in this case, our left thumb is going inside of our right hand. And the Dantian is an area sometimes referred to as the little heaven or the Sea of Qi, which is a sphere around the center of gravity. You recall the center of gravity is a point 3 inches below the navel and in the center of the pelvis. And in this hand cupping of the left thumb into the right palm, creating this circle as well as the arm circle number 2, and we know of the leg circle being circle number 1, the 3-circle posture cups away from our body the Sea of Qi. Again, we have the armpits expanded away from the body, the elbows relaxed, holding the big beach ball in the larger circle number 2, and one hand in the other hand cupping the Sea of Qi. And like before, with the spine erect. And you know, let me pause for a minute here. When I say spine erect, what do I mean by that? If you think, as in the little toys that we might have had as children, with those little blocks of wood that was sometimes on a string, and if you think of your spinal cord as a series, each vertebra being a little block on a cord, and that string was from the top of your head to the ceiling, and that puppeteer were lifting the string, your spine would naturally just all align as those little blocks did on the string. And so when I say with the head erect, we have the stance, the posture, the tuck, the lean, the nose over toes, and that feeling that our spine is like those little blocks falling on the string. You'll understand what I mean by the erect posture. The loaded base, but the upper feeling of the string pulling at the crown of the head. We then assume our Sea of Qi posture with the lifted arms, the cupping of the Dantian, close our eyes, and in this held posture, we begin our inhalation. just like before, our focus is on the concentration of the inhalation, the pause, and the exhalation. When we've done the exercise many, many times, the breathing will become once again natural, where you'll no longer be doing a timing in your head of paying attention to the inhalation, the 3-second hold, the exhalation, the 3-second hold, and so on and so forth. And you'll move from the fact that your breathing once again will return natural, no thinking involved. And the thought processes will move from that to that which you are feeling with your body. The expansions of the energy, the contractions of the energy, the feeling of the circulation flowing in your arms, how the circulation can feel like it flows through one arm and into the other arm, making this strong energy circle with the arms. The feeling of the expansion and contraction of the body as though you as a being were breathing to the pulse of the universe, expanding and contracting as the entire universe expands and contracts. In this sense, you're looking for the emotions that are linked to the physics. Well, I've been talking in the last several segments about emotions. What is also taking place is structural movement. You begin to feel the shoulder, the elbow, the wrist. And these movements are neural signals that your body becomes aware of itself and its position in space. And this is very scientific, this kinesthetic awareness. And in time, you'll be able to manipulate positions of the wrist, the arm, the elbow, the shoulder, the hip, the knee, the ankle, the foot. You'll be aware of every part of your entire body in one grouped emotion. You'll have this total body awareness. So be thinking about how you feel structurally. Identify the ankle in relation to the right ankle in relationship to the left ankle, the left elbow in relationship to the right elbow, the fingers of one hand in relationship to the fingers of the other hand. And you can scan back and forth symmetrically, one side of the body to the other side of the body. This too is what I mean by feeling the body. We'll see you in our next clip. Our third posture in the sequence of our Zhan Zhuang exercises is hands which support life. And the analogy that I'm going to give you for this is many times when you see a woman who's pregnant, you'll notice that she sometimes has to support her abdomen as she approaches her 9th month of pregnancy. And you'll see what I mean right now. As we sink into the base support, the pelvis, the lean, the nose over toes, the rooting of the feet into the earth, I'm going to pick up my hands and I'm going to face my palms at an angle towards my face. Now, if you think in terms that I was pregnant and had my abdomen expanded in the pregnancy, I would bring my hands around that abdomen and lift up to help to carry the baby in my tummy. And this feeling here, the posture then gets its name, hands that support life. And your fingertips are pointing at one another. You see the circle of the large beach ball, the expansion of the armpits, notice the lifting and the carrying, and I feel like I have this large object in my arms that I have to carry with me. And then of course we see the third circle between the thumb and the index finger. From the side, you'll notice that the posture has the lean to get my center where it should be, the tucked pelvis, and then the arms out. And you notice they're not underneath. They're away from the 45-degree angle. cupped palms towards me, picking up and supporting the life within my abdomen. And from this posture, we would execute the breathing cycle. Now I'm going to do a 2 breathing cycle for you so that you can see and try to analyze maybe some minor movement of my posture in this cycle. So I'm going to get correct base support, put my arms in position with the lifting of the armpit area, the support of the imagined abdomen, my erect posture, and begin the breathing in through the nose. In that particular exercise, I was able to achieve a feeling of really a large expansion of my arms. Now, I won't know till I see the video in a few minutes whether that was an obvious movement or not. But internally, I felt a tremendous expansion of life energy, and then when I relaxed with the breathing, I felt that energy solidifying and strengthening. Then sort of an explosion of the flow. Some of the things that you might also feel is the actual circulation of the arterial flow of your blood as it moves through, sort of like a tingling in the arms and the fingertips. Over time, you too will feel that, and it's another element of becoming body aware. Again, go to your journal and write down the various feelings that you're having as you perform these exercises day to day. Take time each day to practice at least one of the 8 postures. And I would try to practice it for approximately 3 minutes. You can extend the time, as some people have practiced one posture for as long as 20 minutes to gain its maximum benefit. In posture number 4, we're going to work with a posture called hands hold the ball. Hands hold the ball. We take our standard base support posture, and our hands are going to raise up to approximately the height of our shoulders. And in this case, the palms are going to turn slightly inward, not facing each other, but just a slight rotation. Notice that in the Tai Chi 3-circle posture, I explained the base support. In the 3-circle posture, I have a lifting of the shoulders, but now there is a drooping or relaxation of the elbow and a relaxation of the wrist, with the arm suspended as though a puppeteer were lifting my wrist by a string. We have, of course, a symmetrical lift, and it is as though the hands were literally around a large ball. I use the example beach ball right in front of me. The arms and the hands on the surface of this big beach ball, suspended naturally as I sink the weight down, with suspension of the head, dropping of the weight, and the feeling of holding on to a large ball. Coupled with the breathing